Hello and welcome to another video. Thank you for clicking onto the channel. Today I want to talk about how I am currently training to run a faster mile and lift a bigger total all on the same day. So my goal by the end of the year is to run as close to a 5-minute mile as possible and lift a 500 kilo total in the squat, bench and deadlift. This hybrid style of training is becoming more and more popular at the moment, and for good reason. So athletes like Fergus Crawley, Nick Bear, Ross Edgley, etc. are really popularising this style of training at the moment. And if you are an athlete like me, you want to be aerobically fit but also strong at the same time, like I think most people do, then this style of training is for you. If you look at hybrid training, there's actually a lot of athletes that have been training this way for a long time already, not necessarily planning to run a faster mile and lift a bigger total, but training their aerobic system as well as getting stronger. So if you look at CrossFitters being the very obvious example and the most recent example, if you look at rugby players, they're a great example, big, strong, powerful, but also aerobically very fit. If you look at Marines or anyone in the army, they are great examples of people who are strong but also aerobically fit. So one of the biggest mistakes that people make when it comes to this style of training is bunching their sessions a bit too close together. So when we train, we are signalling for a specific adaptation from that session. We've only got so many sessions per year, we want to optimize each one of them. So when it comes to strength training, obviously the adaptation we want is increases in strength and hypertrophy, etc. And then when it comes to aerobic training, we want to get fitter. Even within aerobic training, you need to make sure what you are doing is specific, whether it's zone 2, whether it's tempo, etc. When we bunch these sessions closely together, we send our body mixed signals essentially, and it's called cross signaling, so we don't adapt to either particularly well. So how do we resolve this? So it's easier said than done, but if you can, separate those sessions out. So if you were to do a double day, you'd do your strength session or aerobic session in the morning, and then several hours later you would do your other session. Alternatively, you do it on separate days. So you would do a strength session on a Monday and then aerobic session on a Tuesday, strength Wednesday, aerobic Thursday. You can see where I'm going with this, which leads me on to my current training split and how I'm going to train towards these goals. So how do we resolve this? So it's easier said than done, but if you can, separate those sessions out. So if you were to do a double day, you'd do your strength session or aerobic session in the morning, and then several hours later you would do your other session. Alternatively, you do it on separate days. So you would do a strength session on a Monday and then aerobic session on a Tuesday, strength Wednesday, aerobic Thursday. You can see where I'm going with this, which leads me on to my current training split and how I'm going to train towards these goals. So what does the programming actually look like on paper? There's a couple of different approaches you could take here. I think 3 runs per week and 3 strength sessions per week is a really great way to go. I'm going to do it slightly differently because I'm fortunate in the sense that I work in a gym, so I've got a bit more time and flexibility. So I'm going to try and do 4 strength sessions per week, run on the weekend, a run in the week, and a bike session in the week as well, just an indoor bike session, a bit of zone 2 work. So the strength sessions, 2 upper, 2 lower. The weekend run will be a tempo run with a bit of a warm up and a cool down. The midweek run will be a long run hopefully, and then the bike session, like I said earlier, will just be like a zone 2 style bike session. The upper sessions, one will be a bench focus and one will be an overhead focus, and the lower sessions, one will be a front squat and sumo focus and the other will be a back squat and conventional deadlift focus. I will also be doing a lot of accessory work. So during those strength sessions, I'll be using the accessory work to work on my weaknesses. So for example, I know my triceps are not particularly strong and they play a big role in the bench press and the overhead press, probably why my pressing is not great. So a lot of elbow extension work. Accessory work is really underutilized. It's great for injury prevention, bringing up those weaknesses and just applying a bit more volume to those muscle groups that need it, but also without taxing the whole body too much. If your deadlift isn't great, rather than doing more and more and more deadlifts, which is obviously going to be very globally fatiguing, you could do a little bit of lower back work, you do some hamstring work, some glute work, some rowing, etc. For the actual sets and reps on those bigger lifts, I'm going to utilise a classic periodization approach because it just works. So lower intensity, higher volumes to begin with, bit of hypertrophy work, and then that's going to transition into more strength work and then finally more power work. So that's going to be, you know, sets of 10 initially, around 60% let's say, and then moving into 6s and then moving into 3s. Testing, having a bit of a deload, and then repeating that cycle again. For the accessory work, I'm going to be using a double progression approach because I think it's one of the only things you can do to progress accessory work really. So work within a range. So for example, skull crushers, we're going to do 3 sets of 8 to 12. Once I can do 3 sets of 12 at a weight comfortably, I'm going to increase that weight and then go back down to 3 sets of 8 and then just build it up towards 3 sets of 12 again if I can. For the running programming, I'm going to get Rich to do that for me because he's far better at programming for running than I am, but I know that weekend run is going to look something something like this, so 10 to 15 minute warm up, 10 to 15 minute cool down, both nice and easy, and then the tempo is going to start off as a longer interval, 20-25 minutes, something like that, and it's going to transition into faster and faster intervals. They're going to get closer and closer to that mile pace. The midweek run is going to be a long run, keeping the heart rate down, hopefully trying to work on building the engine, and then the bike session, again, same idea, keep the heart rate low, build the engine. So the reason I'm doing a bike session there and not another run, because it would make more sense to do another run, is I just don't know if my body can recover from all of that training. So the thing is, with the bike, it's concentric, whereas running there is a lot of eccentric action, so it can cause a little bit more DOMs, it's a bit more impactful, whereas the bike is obviously less impactful. I can spend a bit more time in those aerobic zones without causing too much damage to my body. I appreciate that both of those goals are quite punchy in their own rights, so trying to increase my total by that much and decrease my mile time by that much is quite a lot to ask, but I honestly think with good programming, consistency, a lack of injuries and enough calories, I can get damn close, if not get those goals by the end of the year. Thank you so much for watching the video. Leave a comment below with any sort of goals you have or any questions you have. Don't forget to hit like and subscribe, and thank you again for watching The Fitness Geeks.